All right. Everything should be working now. Yep, both my streams are muted, so I can't hear myself with a massive delay. That would be super confusing. Right. So back at this. Last year, I think I managed up to day 6 or something before all the things you have to do in the run-up for Christmas sort of caught up with me. The year before, I think I managed quite a few of them. Hopefully this year I will be able to do at least more than the first 6, if there's any interest for it. So for those of you who haven't seen any of these streams before, basically I'm doing the Advent of Code, so adventofcode.com challenges, I guess you could call them. It's an advent calendar with coding challenges, and I'm doing them live. I haven't looked at today's puzzle. I haven't started anything. My folder is empty, so we will go in blind and see if we can sort this out. Someone is in the stream. That's nice. Right. So day 1. Oh, by the way, I haven't streamed for a long while, so let me know if the levels are good and all of that, because they might have been screwed up by some update or setting or something. Everything's okay. Great. Okay, day 1, Trebuchet. Something is wrong with global snow production, and you've been selected to take a look. Well, solving global warming would probably be the best way to have at it, but the elves have even given you a map. On it, they've used stars to mark the top 50 locations that are likely to be having problems. So Advent of Code goes from today and until December 25th, and there's 2 puzzles each day. That's probably where the 50 locations, the 50 stars, you get 1 star per puzzle, and the goal is to collect all 50. You've been doing this long enough to know that to restore snow operations, you need to check all 50 stars by December 25th. Collect stars by solving puzzles. 2 puzzles will be made available on each day in the Advent calendar. The second puzzle is unlocked when you complete the first. Each puzzle grants 1 star. Good luck. Basically what I just said. You try to ask why they can't just use a weather machine. Oh yeah, and they tend to throw in a bunch of links. This apparently is a link to day 1 from 2015. The Advent calendar from 2015. Not powerful enough. And where they're even sending you. The sky. And why your map looks mostly blank. You sure ask a lot of questions. And hang on, did you just say the sky? Of course. Where do you think snow comes from? When you realize that the elves are already loading you into a trebuchet, this is just a Wikipedia article for trebuchet. Please hold still. We need to strap you in. As they're making the final adjustments, they discover that their calibration document, your puzzle input, has been amended by a very young elf who was apparently just excited to show off her art skills. So someone has been doodling on their calibration document. Consequently, the elves are having trouble reading the values on the document. The newly improved calibration document consists of lines of text. Each line originally contained a specific calibration value that the elves now need to recover. On each line, the calibration value can be found by combining the first digit and the last digit in that order to form a single 2-digit number. For example, 1 ABC 2, PQR 3, STU 8, VWX, A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, F, and TREB 7, U-Shay. In this example, the calibration values of these 4 lines are 12, 38, 15, and 77. So this 1 and this 2, this 3 and this 8, this 1 and this 5, and this 7 just twice. Adding these together produces 142. Consider your entire calibration document. What is the sum of all the calibration values? To play, please identify yourself. Oops, I haven't logged in. I knew I had forgotten something. Just give me a sec while I log in with my account. It should, I logged in earlier just to check everything. So it should, it just logged me straight in. Probably because I'm already logged into to my GitHub account. So yeah, to begin, get your puzzle input. First of all, we're gonna do just this input. So we do this, or let's call it sample input, and just paste this into there. And now part 1. And of course, I mean, if you're here, then you probably found this through the NIM channel, or maybe you're following me on YouTube or Twitch, but you're probably coming from the NIM channel. So it's no surprise that we'll be doing these in NIM. So we need to go line by line through these. We need to track the first and the last number. So for this, we could probably use the string utils. It has a class of, it has a set of digits. So if you look in the string utils module, we can see we have constant sets for stuff like digits, which is just 0 through 9. And then, of course, in NIM, to iterate over a line, we can do for line in lines, and then just the name of the file, which I called sample inputs.txt. Just echo out that to begin with. Oh yeah, so here I'm actually getting, I think, it doesn't import standard stereo utils. I'm not madman, I'm just old enough to remember when NIM didn't have the std prefix for imports. So I still struggle to get used to adding this one. Typically I just add imports, and when I run into one that requires it, then I refactor to add the std prefix. And yeah, we can see, I'm not sure we had this the last time I did the Advent of Code. Now we have editor hints. So it says unused import, imported and not used stereo utils. That's of course fine because we'll be using it later on. But if we just do this, then we can see that it just prints out the file line by line as we expect. So for each line, so we are going to have to sum this up. The sort of the output of all of this should just be the sum of all these numbers. So we'll create a sum up there, and then we will create a first index. I can type it out. First index is 0, last index is 0, and then for character in our line, so this will go character by character through each of our characters in the line. Oh yeah, someone's spamming my channel. That's nice. I wonder how these people even find these things. How do I ban people? There we go. Right. That was way easier than it used to be. It used to be kind of tricky to get people out of the chat in Twitch, or at least when I was looking at it as I was streaming and wanted to do other stuff. So yeah, let's go 4C in line. Actually, let's set this to -1 as a sentinel value. So if first index is -1, that means we haven't found a character yet. But before that, we check if C is in digits. So we just check if our character C is in the set digits from string utils. If it is, and if the first index is -1, we set first index to be our index, but we don't have an index at the moment. So we use this syntax, which essentially calls the pairs iterator instead of the typical iterator, and that just gives us the index and the what we would get with a normal loop syntax. So we set first index to be 1. Otherwise, so if first index is not -1, oh yeah, it calls pairs implicitly. It's you have pairs, you have m pairs. So if you want them to be mutable, you have to call this explicitly. But this implicitly calls the pairs iterator. Or if you have an iterator, which is not just a normal iterator for it, called items, then if items returns a tuple, this will also work. At least if you do this, I believe. Yeah, if you do this, it calls the items iterator and expects a tuple to unpack. If you do this, it calls the pairs iterator, and you get the index, or whatever the pairs index, the pairs iterator returns. You get that. So if the first index isn't -1, that means we have found our first one. So this isn't the first one, and we just set the last index to be this index. Of course, if our index isn't oh wait, we actually, for the 77 case, we need to do so you remember in the case of Trebuchet that just had a 7, it was 77. So first and last was the same one. So if first is -1, we set first. In any case, we set last index. So now we have the index of our two characters. We of course need to run this iterator all the way to the end to be sure that we get the last one. Could of course do one forwards and one backwards, but this is easier. Now we need to figure out the value of each of the characters. So of course we could do line first index and line last index and sort of create our numbers. Here we will see 12, 58, 12, 38, 15, and 77, which of course are the numbers that we wanted. And then we could run, we could sort of do parse int on this. Of course, the output, we won't be able to tell the difference because because their echo turns it back into a string. So we could do this, and that of course works. We got 142, which is what we expected. We could also do, so sort of manually create these. So do this dot ord, so the ordinal, the number value of this, and then subtract the value of 0 ord. And of course, since this is the first of the two, it's in the 10th place. So we do this. Because we know these are going to be numbers, so this is going to work. That should, actually we don't need these. So this should do the same thing, but without taking the two characters, allocating a new string, concatenating them into that string, and then running a parser that parses the string back to an integer. In this case, we abuse the fact that the numbers in ASCII are in ascending order. So 0 minus 0, that will be 0. The 1 is 1 higher than the 0 in ASCII. So the math checks out as long as you subtract from 0. Of course, if any of these weren't numbers, we would get some weird results. But we have already checked these are in fact numbers. We could of course run a check that first index wasn't still -1. That means we hadn't found any character yet. But for this, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a character on each line. So if we got our puzzle input, this is of course one of the cool things about Advent of Code. The puzzle is the same for everyone, but the inputs are different. So in order to get it registered as working on your as you having solved it, you need to have some code to run. You can't just sort of, you watching this stream can't just steal my solution. You would have to steal my code as well. Oops, bumped the mic. So now we can see I downloaded the input, so the input.txt, which is of course significantly longer than the test thing. This is 1,000 lines, which actually isn't too bad. Some of these inputs can be quite big. So there we go. Run this. We'll get a number out. And hopefully, if we've done everything right, this will be our answer. That's the right answer. You're 1 gold star closer to restoring snow operations. Continue to part 2. Honestly, I live in northern Norway. We already have quite a lot of snow, and I have to shovel it out of my driveway. So, kind of would. This amount is fine. Maybe a bit more for skiing. But we have some winters where it's just snowing and snowing and snowing and snowing. And yeah. Yes, I live quite a bit above, actually, above the polar night, day-night border. So the last time we saw the sun was last Monday, and we won't see it again until sometime in February, I think. So now it's just dark out pretty much all day. Yeah, part 2. Yeah, so part 1 is often pretty easy. Part 2, typically a bit harder. So yeah, part 2, your calculation isn't quite right. It looks like some of the digits are actually spelled out with letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 also count as valid digits. How do I cope with polar night? I mean, the polar day is fine. You just get curtains that block out the sun. You're good. Polar night, you do get tired, and you're gonna stay tired pretty much all winter. I typically take what we here in Norway call tran, which is cod liver oil, which has a lot of D vitamins in it, which is the thing that you synthesize when you get sun. And since I don't get any sun, we don't get any D vitamins. So I take that as a sort of supplement. But yeah, most of it is just dealing with it. Of course, indoor lighting helps. Many people have like these lamps that sort of emulate daylight. I have programmed all the bulbs in my house to dim up and down in a sort of correct for the time of day sequence. So I get sort of artificial cues for when, like what the time is, so it doesn't feel like it's night all day, which helps. I also have the lights in my bedroom dim up before the alarm on my phone goes off, which helps immensely because it wakes your body up before your alarm. But yeah, anyways, that's how I cope with the darkness. Equipped with this new information, you now need to find the real first and last digit on each line. So for example, this would be 2, and then a 1, and then a 9, and then an 8. Oh, and I guess this would be a 2, and this would be a 3. A, B, C, 1, that's a 2. Oops, that's a 2. We have a 3. 2, I'm guessing this still counts as a 1, a 3, and a 4. 4, 9, 8, 7, 2. Yeah. So, in this example, the calibration values are 2, 9, 8, 3, so on and so forth. So that complicates things a little bit. Let's create a part2.nym, and let's do a input or sample input 2. Nope. Do this, and actually let's have this open here. Let's actually copy part 1 over to part 2, so I don't have to type everything out again, even though our part 2 is going to be quite different from part 1. So in this case, we were just searching for indexes. In this, we need a little bit more cleverness. I'm going to start. So again, with these, there are many ways of doing it. One way we can do it is just set up a search. So search for each of the character or each of the digits, forwards and backwards. And there we go. We could still do the thing we're doing now, iterating through and then finding if it matches the first character of any of these, then we search for that. We can do we can do lots of stuff like that. I haven't quite decided which one I'm gonna do, but let's start with doing this. Just getting an array out with all the numbers. There we go. There we have all of our numbers from 1 through 9. Oh, we actually need a 0 in here as well. let's just wrap that. Oh, it didn't fit anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's good. So we could, for 1,000 inputs, wouldn't matter or won't matter. Oh, there's no 0 in the input. Really? Huh. Okay. Doesn't really change anything for our case. So we can do this the sort of dumbest way possible. So we can do a first index is the smallest of line.find. Ooh. Can't do more than one. So for digit in digits, and we need our first index and our last index like this. Go through all of these. First index should be the smallest of first index. And let me just set this to int.high. Should be the smallest of first index, and line.find digit. Find, of course, if you have a look at this, it returns a -1. Yeah, if sub is not in S, -1 is returned. Otherwise, we get the index. So we need to do a max here of wow. So if this returns -1 at the moment, our first index would be -1. So we would need find when it returns a -1 to return a high number, so that it wouldn't collide with this. Can we do that in a nifty inline way? I can't think of anything. That's annoying. Line.find digit. If I is larger than 0, do this. Just do this in one line. And then just copy this over. First index, last index. And then we do an rfind. So now we have a find, which is looking, I guess for you guys, it would be the opposite way. Yeah. So we have a find, which will be looking in this direction, and an rfind, which will be looking in that direction. And then you would have the in and out, or the first and the last of these indexes. Or indices. That would be last index. Last index, of course, must be the highest of these. So that would find these numbers. So if the easiest way now to do this would, of course, be to just throw these in here. Because now the whole logic is the same. There we go. But now we have the indexes, which are quite annoying to deal with, because we have found which number it is, and we have found the index of the number that we found. But now we need to figure out again which number is there. So let's store the, this is not very pretty, but first digit and last digit, and if, okay, and first index is smaller than, is larger than fi, then we will do fi. I just had a thought that stuff could overlap, but that wouldn't apply to this. Then we of course need to set first index equal to fi, but we also need to set our first digit. And now we can do the same thing here, I, digit, and digits. That will give us the index in this array. So it will give us 0 for this, 1 for this, all the way up to 9. And that would be the index, which is our digit. But of course, if we are larger than 9, then we need to subtract 9. So if I is larger than 9, we do I minus 10. Otherwise, we do I. And we need to do this for this as well. Just doing some search and replace. Do first index to last index. And then it also did the fi in the actual word first. So I need to replace lurst index. Actually, just replace lurst with last. There. Now we should have our 2 digits. So our first digit and our last digit. This echo can echo out more than one thing. So in this case, we are taking first digit, we're turning it into a string. Actually, I think we would need to stringify it explicitly because this is an integer. And we're combining them with the AND operation into one string, and then we're running echo on a single string. In this case, we just tell echo, hey, we have 2 things that we want to concatenate. Could you concatenate them for us? And it will just echo out one without a new line, and then echo out the next. And I missed a comma there. Undeclared identifier li. Oh, I deleted a bit too much. Li, and that should be an rfind. There we go. So let's see what we get now if we run part 2. Here we go. That is running on input, but it appears that we have a bug. There we go. Yeah, so it seems to correctly do the first number, 29830. Oh, so that doesn't work. So our logic is a bit broken here. So the first index is line find digit. So that goes from, for you guys, this direction. if the first index is larger or equal to 0, or we can do it's not -1. So that's one bug. But that did not fix it. So if the first index is not -1, because that means we didn't find this digit, and the first index is larger than the index we had here. So for the first run, that would always be true because this is int high. We set first index to be fi. Oh, first index to be fi, first digit to be, if I is larger than 9, I minus 10, otherwise 1. So if we look at our, oh, actually we need to do that if we want to get the actual numbers that we wanted. Right, so it finds the 2, it finds an 8, it finds the 1. Right, so now this looks more like what we expected, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and the last one, the last number here is just the sum that is being echoed out down here. So 2812417. Yeah, that appears to be right for this one, for this part. But of course, in this case, last index should not be larger than li. It should be smaller than li. So it starts at 0. If we find 1, we shuffle them around. If we find one which is even larger, then we do that. So this should now be, there we go, this is looking better. Thanks. 29, 83, 13, 24, 42, 14, and 76. Yep, that looks good. Again, now we have digits, but this time these are the actual numbers. We have converted these into numbers already. So we can do sum plus equals first digit times 10 plus the last digit. Now our sum should be 281. That is correct with this one. So we can remove that and we can go for our actual input here. And there we go. Got out a number. Pop that in there. Oh, it's not the right answer. It's too low. Well, that's not great. So we appear to have an error. This input, everything worked fine. Our true input, not everything went well. Well, that's certainly annoying. Let us do first digit and last digit. Let's also echo out the line. We'll do a little space between them. Let's see if we can spot anything here. Pipe that into less so it's easier to read. 4, 1, that looks good. Here we have an 8 and a 3, looks good. We have a 6, we have a 2, we have a 4, we have a 2, we have a 6, We have a 4. You have a 5, 6. We have a 3, and we have a 4. We have a 6 there. We have a 5 all the way over there. An 8, and then we have this 8. We have a 6 there, 5 there, 7 here, 5 there, 9 there, 6 there, 4 there, and a 4 there. This is looking pretty correct. 2, 9, 9, 1, 2, 4, 8 there. The same 8 both ways. So it's not that. That's not the edge case. We have a 6, we have a 7, we have a 3, we have a 2, we have a 5, we have a 6, we have a 2, we have a 9. Did I miss a rule? Calculation isn't quite right. It looks like some of the digits are actually spelled out with letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 also count as valid digits. Equipped with this new information, you need to find the real first and last digit on each line. That's what we're doing. And the calibration thing worked. What is the sum of all the calibration values? Well, this is certainly frustrating. Where was I? 2, 9, 8, 8, 6, 7, 3 and a 2, 5 and a 6, 2 and a 9, 2 there, and a 9 going this way. Oh, no, yeah, 2, and a 7 there. 5, 5 both ways, 1 there, 6 there, 2 there, 1 going that way, 9, and 7, 5 there, 6 there, 4 there, 6 going this way, 3 there, 4 going that way, 3 there, 2 going that way, 5 there, 6 going that way, 7 there, 6 going that way. I think it's bluffing. 6, 9, 3, 2, 4, 9, 2, 4, 1, 6. All of these are right. Okay, let's have a look at the end. 4, 9, and that, just to verify, it's actually, it's actually the last one on our list here. Oh, here we go. 6L returns 60. Huh. Okay. So let's include that in this test case, so that we can play around with that. And then we do sample input 2. Yeah, episode 2, attack of the edge cases. Those edge cases, they always get you. All right. Well, that was dumb. Last index, I set this to 0, and we check if last index is explicitly less than our last digit. So if we just set this to -1, then the 0 will be larger, and our 6L should now be 66. And that should have fixed our bug. And we can now run this again. The fun thing about edge cases in this is that since everyone gets different inputs, some people might run into edge cases that other people don't. I assume that this is trying to generate edge cases, that it has some like rule that it has to sprinkle in a couple, which is just the first character, or just one in the last character, that it has some rule about this. Maybe there is one which is only one character long or something like that. But it probably has some logic. But I have seen cases where I think it was an overflow. So the same algorithm could work for one set of inputs but not for another because some intermediary value overflowed the size of an integer. Or if you were doing floating point math, that kind of stuff. There we go. That's the right answer. You're 1 gold star closer to restoring snow operations. You have completed day 1. Ooh. The share is a hover thing, which now appears to be locked. And this, as you can see down here, when I hover over this, it's a link to Twitter. If I hover over the Mastodon thing, just a JavaScript void 0. Oh, but it actually does something. Ask me for my Mastodon server. This is one of the things. I really like the idea of like the Fediverse and the Federation and splitting things up and combining and different communities and all of that. But the interface, the user interface for the Fediverse is just so bad. I mean, I have accounts. I have a Mastodon account. Barely ever use it because I have to log into my account. And if someone shares a tweet with me, like if I come across a tweet on Hacker News or if someone is sharing something, I click through, but I'm not on the same server. So I need to find that on my server so that I can log in and comment on it. I'm not going to do that for a like an update or whatever it's called. I'm not going to do that. So I don't use it. And it's a shame. We should have nice ways of sharing things with each other on the internet. But yeah. So now, if we look at the calendar, we are now. So here we have our little trebuchet. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be me, or I guess this is us. We're gonna get flung out by the trebuchet and land over here tomorrow. I'm not sure trebuchets would give me 25 days of airtime, so it'll be interesting to see what happens up here during Christmas. But that was it for today. As I said, many ways of solving this. We could have done this. We could have created a tree structure where you go down the tree for the first character. If it's T, then you have 2 options. You have 2 and a 3. If it finds a T, it checks the next character. If it's a W or an H, if it's an H, it checks the 3 next characters. But you would of course need to have some rollback. So if this was an F, there's no TF. But we could then be in a situation where we're looking at 4 or 5. I guess you wouldn't need rollback. You would just need to start over at that point. So again, lots of ways, many ways of doing this, many ways of solving these. Some try to solve them as fast as possible. Some try to solve them with the coolest solution, easiest solution, the best looking solution, the weirdest solutions. I've seen people using metaprogramming in NIM, I think it was last year, where they managed to write macros and code that turned the input into code. It was some kind of like, it was instructions for doing something, and they wrote they implemented the operations in NIM, and since NIM has a relaxed enough syntax, they were just able to say, well, now import this or include this module input.txt, and it just ran it as code, compiled it into the program, which I thought was pretty cool. I will put this on GitHub, same place as always. I'll type it out here for you so you can have a look. This will be AoC 2023. So you can find my solution and yeah, follow along. I will try to stream these throughout December, I think. As many as I manage to do before Christmas catches up to me. And of course, if you have cool solutions, I would like to see them. I always like to sort of feature a couple cool solutions. So I'll probably be looking at the AoC channel after this, and if I find some cool ones, I will share them tomorrow. If I do this again tomorrow, hopefully I do. And yeah, maybe we even do some other NIM stuff. It's been quite a while since I've had the time to stream. As you can see, for those of you who have seen my streams before, I'm in a completely new place. The fireplace is unfortunately gone because now I have a proper office, because we moved we moved up a floor. So now I'm in the floor 2 floors above where I used to stream before, and I have a separate office with yeah, as you can see, it's a bit colder in here than down in the living room with the fireplace where I used to do this. So yeah, that was today's stream. Hope you guys enjoyed.